You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Hello everybody, I want to welcome you to the state of Rhode Island, to the first episode of Advance Rhode Island with me, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. Advance Rhode Island is a monthly show that will focus on the three initiatives that my office is working on: supporting small business, advocating for excellent public schools, and creating efficiencies in our cities and towns. Each month we will bring in guests who have first-hand experience in these areas. The idea behind the show is to create a forum to highlight the things being done in Rhode Island and the things that we need to do in Rhode Island to make our state stronger. This show will also be my office's way of giving a voice to a large group who have not had a voice before. You can join in the conversation by following me and the show on Twitter at LG Dan McKee using the hashtag Advance Rhode Island, or on Facebook at facebook.com/LG Dan McKee. The guest on this month's show, who we will meet in just a minute, are business owners I met during the 39 Cups of Coffee tour. The tour started back in 2014 during my campaign for Lieutenant Governor. And as a small business person myself, I wanted to make it a priority to visit a locally owned coffee spot in each of our 39 cities and towns. During the tour, I met with owners, staff, and customers to hear what Rhode Islanders had to say. I also drank a lot of coffee, and it was good. Now, as Lieutenant Governor and Chair of the Small Business Advisory Council, I am fulfilling my promise to revisit these businesses to find out what we can do to make it easier to do business in Rhode Island. Let's meet some of our business owners. So first of all, thank you very much for being here today. As a business owner myself, I know that it's not easy to get away. So we're going to kind of go over today a little bit, learn a little bit about your business. Talk about some of the challenges that we have in business, and talk about some of the things that we can actually do to help our small businesses grow in Rhode Island. And I'll just give a little backdrop of why I think that the Coffee Cup tour is so important to me. When I first got out of college, I started a business, and there was a local coffee shop that I spent a lot of time at, meeting people, doing business. When I was out of office for a while, I had a cup of coffee with Commissioner Partington, John Partington from Providence, every Friday morning. And it started with a couple people. And then by the end, we had a table of almost 12 or 16 every Friday morning. People gather at your places. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for providing the service that you do. But let's just start in the back here. Corey, just tell us a little bit about your business, where it's located, show us your menu, and then we'll kind of move along to each person. So give about a minute.
My name is Corey Dumas. My restaurant's at Lillian Jeans. It's in the Manville section of Lincoln, the village of Manville, on 29 Winter Street. We are 55 years in the family business.
55 years.
Founded by my grandparents, Lillian and Eugene. Ran by my parents, Jerry and Patsy Dumas, for 40 years. And now my wife, Jillian, and I, for the last 15, have run it. Mostly family run. We're up to our 5th generation of customers.
Nice.
Just starting the 5th generation on some people. It's been a lot of very supportive over the years. We had the mills when my grandparents first started out, and all the locals came in. Since then, things have changed a little bit. We rely on surrounding neighborhoods to come in, but they're very loyal, and we're very appreciative of that.
Well, Corey, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Rich, tell us a little bit about Richmond.
Well, I'm Richard Clark. I own Clark Farms in Wakefield, which is probably what I'm best known for, but we also have a farm Matunic, where we have a big corn maze business, a landscape construction business. But the thing I was here to talk about today was our cafe. We actually have a small seasonal garden center along with a cafe in Richmond. Our cafe is called Fresh Ground Cafe, which is really run by my wife, and I run the garden side of it. But we have been there for about 4 years. We're right on Route 138, where the Meadowbrook Herb Garden used to be, as we like to say in Rhode Island, around the curve at 138. And it was sort of an afterthought. We wanted to get into the food business to complement our other retail. Did it as sort of an experiment. It's kind of taken off. Richmond's a community that's underserved with kind of high quality or healthy type food, and my wife was biased towards vegetables.
Yeah, it was a great
So we
visit.
do some really fun things with nice creative salads and gluten-free menu that's fairly extensive, more so than any place else in the neighborhood. And we have a really good loyal following. Richmond is a town, I think it's a little misunderstood, but a really progressive town that's in a growth phase. There's a lot happening there, and it's been a good place for us to kind of fill a vacuum. So that's
Well,
what
thanks for
we've been
being
doing.
here today. And one of what we're going to see is we're going to build these bridges between different communities in the state of Rhode Island in a way that says that all our small businesses are important regardless of where they locate or how big the populations they serve. Ken, give me a little overview. We're down there in South Kingstown.
My name is Kenta Seki.
Ken, yeah, Phil's. That's right, Phil's. down
Yeah,
there, right?
I get that all the time.
Yeah, I'm
Sometimes
sure.
I just go with it.
Well, yeah, it's the hat.
It's the hat.
Yes.
I know. It's the name. But we've been in business for over 50 years. Obviously not myself, but I've owned it for about 19 years now. We started off just a diner. It's kind of an institution in town. We get the grandfather, the son, the grandchildren. They've all went to URI. They all go to Phil's. I'm actually a neighbor of Clark Farms, right around the corner there.
There you go.
Yep. About 5 years ago, I bought the property. We used to just do breakfast and lunch. Now we do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I put in a rooftop restaurant bar over the adjacent building. And I also brought a theater to town, the CTC. Is behind the property, which is a nice touch to Main Street, just trying to bring some life to the Main Street.
Ken, thanks for being here. And give me a little bit overview of what's happening, Greg, at the Olneyville, New York system.
Well, my name is Greg Stevens. I'm fourth generation owner of Olneyville, New York system. We've been in business 70 years.
70.
This year was
Nice.
our 70th year. My sister and I have been running it. We are open lunch till late night. We serve Rhode Island's famous hot wieners, coffee milk, and all the other things that we've pretty much kept the same all these years. Our secret is keeping it the same, keeping it consistent, and we've hopefully been doing that successfully for a lot of years. I personally have been there 40 years myself. Lunch to late night.
You're such a young guy.
You know, it's my healthy diet.
Yeah, the healthy
That's
diet. There
why.
you go.
And we talk about customer bases. We serve the neighborhood. We serve people that grew up in the neighborhood. We serve, Providence has become a true food destination. People come from all over to come to Providence restaurants. So we're proud of what we do. We feel we're a part of that draw. And we've had a great year so far this year as well. And we just want to keep it going.
Well, Greg, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Jim, tell me a little bit about my second home, because we ran a business up in Woonsocket for 30 years. I can say, I think they're part of when we run these businesses, spend that much time, they become if they're not a home community, they become our second home. So tell us a little bit about the Patriot Diner.
My name is Jimmy Kiprios.
Yes.
My family owns the Patriots Diner. We have owned it for the past 6 years now. We're open 24/7.
24/7.
24/7. We serve everybody from CVS, because they're open, they do the same thing 24 hours a day. The police department, we work a lot with them. Fire department. We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we enjoy being in Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Yeah. So when CVS expanded, that was a pretty good thing.
That was
for you
actually
guys,
pretty
right?
good, yes.
I helped do that as mayor of the town of Cumberland. 600,000 square feet, 1,000 jobs. That helps our businesses, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does.
Yes,
it does a
it
lot.
does quite a bit. So, well, thank you for being here. And let's go to Frank at the Green Eggs.
Green Eggs in Bristol.
Yeah.
We're on Tower Plaza off Metacom Avenue. Thanks for having me. Tina and I bought it about 4 months ago, and serving Bristol. Bristol's a great spot, a lot of good restaurants, and we had a lot of regulars, and we appreciate everybody coming in. It's breakfast from 6 to 1 and 7 to 1 on Sundays.
Yeah, so I can attest to the good food. I've had some good food at every place that I've visited, and have had some great conversations. One of the things I wanted to just kind of talk, and maybe we can combine it a little bit, because we'll see how we're doing on the time, but you know, what's challenging our businesses, and what are the type of things that the state could do or local communities could do to help our small business in the state. I'll just give you kind of a quick overview of being as Lieutenant Governor for the last 18 months or so plus. I've seen some pretty good things happen. Our businesses don't no longer pay sales tax on our electric bill, thanks to Governor Raimondo's budget proposal and the General Assembly passing that. And that's saving businesses, depending on the size, but certainly diners that I'm visiting, $150, $200 a month. So that's good money. The health insurance, the unemployment insurance is going to be lowered as a result of the governor's proposal, as well as the General Assembly's approval. And then our office has been tackling the issues that have to do with electric rates. So I wanted to make sure you know that, and our viewers know that. There's ways that you can save on your electric bill that is safe, it's simple, and you save money. And you can go to Empower RI at the Division of Public Utilities, or you go to our website and you can see that, and there's a tutorial right there. But what are some of the things, and maybe we can start with Ken in the back, right? Tell us some of the things that are challenging you right now as a business, and then we'll kind of get into that last piece of what we might be able to do to help.
I guess down near me right now, it's Roadworks. We have the windmills, and they're tying the energy in, and they got to run it to the grids, so they're shutting down 108 a lot. Some businesses didn't even know they were doing the work. You couldn't even get into their businesses. They're fully staffed. You can't even get to their business. They're not going to send people home. They're going to stay open. But I mean, there's got to be a way that maybe we can do that work at night.
Yes.
Not hurt the businesses. Maybe be more proactive with the businesses. Communicate better, and
so I think that's
let them know what's going on.
A great point. The infrastructure improvements are one thing, but how does that impact small businesses? I know that on Broad Street alone in Providence, they put no parking signs right in front of 7 or 8 small businesses, just like yours and mine, and for no really apparent reason. We got that reversed, but why aren't we thinking about those things, right?
Doing the work's great. I understand.
Yes.
You got to do the work. You got to do the construction. That's all a positive thing. But you got to work with the small business. Third shift. Time frame, seasonal. You got to make sure.
Seasonal,
that the small
yes.
business.
We got to make hay where the sun's shining, right? Something like that.
Right.
Rich, give us a little idea of some of the things that may be challenging your business.
I always like to say that business would be easy if it weren't for the people. And it's somewhat true, but we do struggle quite a bit in all of our businesses with staffing. Just getting enough qualified people to apply for the jobs. The truth is, in a lot of small businesses, we just don't have the means to pay the wages that we would like to pay, and to get people to work for the wages we need and to get the quality we need is very difficult. I would say that training is something, and I like to think long term, and better training in our schools, and something you brought up when we were conversing earlier about work ethic. How do we help instill a better work ethic in our students? And I say we're very fortunate to have great people, but it's a struggle. It's a constant process of interviewing and hiring and firing and training, and the costs of training and the cost of losing a good employee just can't be measured, and it really hurts us when we lose them, but it's a major cost for us. It's maybe not so tangible, but very significant.
Yes, right in that training range, and certainly having the attributes of being a good worker is a learned skill as well, right?
For sure.
That we should be taking an interest in. Corey, any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with that. Being a small diner, we are a stepping stone for a lot of younger people, whether it's waitressing during school or busboy, so just when you get comfortable with somebody, it's time for them to move on. So that's part of the business. That's the nature of it. I'm very fortunate. I've had 3 of the employees have been there very long time, 15 years, or better. So I'm very blessed with that. As far as the construction, we ran into a heck of a summer. We had 3 or 4 different roads right around the restaurant that were closed, and luckily, thankfully, our customers found a way, because we had a great summer. So, I'm blessed with that. But it would have been nicer to do maybe one little piece at a time, so you didn't have to go literally 10 roads down, cut over, park over, walk over. Any challenge, any time that things are not 100% smooth is always a challenge to your business. There's always another restaurant. There's always another diner. There's always, so why do if I can't get to, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we're very, we're thankful our customers are loyal.
So those loyal customers are really important
They
to all
keep
of us.
us in
and,
business.
And you were, and your family was at our racquetball club in Woonsocket,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, it goes hand in
Loyalty
hand.
is key. Even when we buy, we try to buy from the same people. We try to stay local.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because if small business should support small business, I'm a firm believer in that.
Well, I think that's a really important point. You guys are making some really good points that people are going to hear about this, and they're going to watch the show and they're going to be listening. So thanks for being here. But Greg, give us some of your thoughts on one of those challenges that you're facing.
Excellent point about keeping business local. All of my suppliers are all in Rhode Island. Products might not come from Rhode Island, but everyone that we use is strictly from Rhode Island. Maybe some type of incentive for small businesses to use Rhode Island only companies to provide their goods would be maybe something to be looked into. But on the local scale of Providence, Providence sometimes has the image that there's a lot of crime, that there's a lot of negativity in Providence. But I can say firsthand, it's not. I can say that back in the 70s and 80s, it used to be much worse. But Providence, especially in my area, there are no vacant storefronts. There are not many vacant homes. The police are very proactive. A lot of activity in our area where it didn't exist back in the 70s and 80s, even the 90s. So that's a positive as well. And one more thing, the 610 connector, we talk about Roadworks. We see it every day, we travel it every day, especially where I am, and just visually seeing it, we know it needs immediate attention. And I commend the governor for stepping forward to say, hey, we have to get this done now, because by the time all the engineering's done and any construction begins and is finished, it's years away. So this is something that should be moved on immediately before there's any closures. So I commend the governor on that.
Yeah, so clearly the safety is a big deal, right? And if you have a safe territory and it's kind of the image is not, we've got to do something about that. That's a very, very important point. You got to have, as a mayor, that was our top priority, to have a safe community, right? And if you're delivering on that and you deliver that message, very, very important point. Our businesses can't grow in an unsafe environment, right? And if you have a safe environment and you have the reputation of not being safe, then that's problematic too. Give me some ideas.
They pretty much hit everything
Yeah,
spot
you
on.
like those, huh?
Yes.
Huh?
They pretty much hit,
Yeah.
I mean, the business, we try to keep everything local, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to, all the vendors and stuff as far as we're pretty new to Rhode Island ourselves.
Yes.
We've only been here for 6 years. So we're still trying to get
Yeah, when I talked to Betsy, is that your...
That's my sister-in-law.
That's your sister-in-law,
That's
yeah.
my sister-in-law.
We had a great conversation about how you entered into business during probably the most difficult time they could ever imagine, right?
Yes,
The bottom
we had our
falling
ups
out.
and downs, yeah.
But she had a great positive attitude about that.
It is. It's like we love Rhode Island.
Yes.
We love it. We grew, it grew on us. So, I mean, anything, we always try to give back to community ourselves. And,
Yeah.
we're still learning, in the process, still learning more things every day.
24 hours a day, that's not an easy one.
No.
That's not an easy one to manage strength.
Really, so I've only been there for 4 months. I appreciate the regulars that are always coming in, they always come back. New kids from Roger Williams, that's huge. They're, sessions in, they're coming around. Starting off, state of Rhode Island was great. Had some problems with utilities, just things we had to work out, and would have been nice if we knew everything ahead of time, just to make things easier.
Get
Easier
a
for the
punch
next
list of
person.
some
A
sort so you
punch
can go
list,
through it.
Exactly. But besides that, everything
Yeah,
seems to be going pretty good for us right now.
great. So let's just talk about, I think we still have a few more minutes, so let's just talk a little bit about some of the things that, as a lieutenant governor, we're doing the Small Business Advisory Council, and we had a very important vote at the meeting earlier in this week, which we're going to make sure the Small Business Advisory Council first has small businesses on it, which would probably be a good idea, and those small businesses would have a vote on what we're actually thinking about as being good things to do, right? And the other thing is that we're going to focus that Small Business Advisory Council on existing businesses. I know around, and also being a business, it's nice to give incentives to new businesses, or even the big fish, that type of thing. What we talked about, how important the bringing those big companies in is to our small business, but we're going to be focusing on the small businesses that currently exist in the state of Rhode Island, and there's about 95,000 that actually exist. So that's a big chunk that we can really build an economy off of. So if you were to say to the advisory council or to me, what are the type of things you're thinking about? And as simple, basic, maybe we can start. We'll start here. And maybe we want some idea here, okay? Greg, give me a thought. What can I be working on as a lieutenant governor so we can deliver the messages to the decision makers, whether they're local or state in regulation, or to the General Assembly or to the governor's office?
Incentive for local businesses and restaurants to use in-state purveyors, in-state companies for their goods and services.
Okay, good. That's a good one. Jim, any thoughts, or you're still looking for ideas?
I'm still looking for ideas. Maybe a little tax breaks to bigger companies so they can actually have more workers coming in. Maybe.
That was interesting. I was with someone yesterday with some bankers, and they were talking about how important it is that we do bring in people who are big job creators, so that our small businesses can thrive. I think that's a really good point, and I think that we overlook that. I think you can have both. You don't need to necessarily be just focused on the big company and then ignore the small business company, but I think you can work on both. You should be able to satisfy that need to bring in a big company like we did when we did a 600,000 square foot expansion in Cumberland for CVS, and I know that helps our small businesses a lot.
It helps us a
that's
lot.
a good point. Let's not turn our back on the need for us to create these job creation strategies, but let's not turn the back on the small businesses. Frank?
Like we talked about before, a punch list to make it easier for somebody else to come into it would be great. Some way
Nice.
to a starting point,
Nice. Corey, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I like the fact if you've never run a small business, you pretty much probably don't have an idea about it. So the fact you're putting small business on the Small Business Advisory Board, then we'll finally have people that do know what's right to run a small business have some say. I think that'll benefit all small businesses very well.
Great.
If you don't, when you get your hands in it, you understand when you're voting what you're voting on. I like the fact that people that are going to put their blood, sweat, and tears into their business have a say in how we improve ours.
Yeah, it's not easy being a small business owner. At the beginning of the day, you got the key in your hand. That's how I felt a number of times. And at the end of the day, I spent all my time in that business, right? And so to have the key in your hand at the end of the day, that was a good day.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we got to give the small business, and that's what I've been advocating for. Let's organize in some way to represent a number of small business groups, but the owners themselves actually get a weigh in on this
I
thing.
think that's fantastic.
I mean, that would go a long way, and we need the chambers, and we need the other advocates that are out there in commerce and that type of thing. But no one understands what the challenges are in a small business unless you actually are doing the work. Rich, got any thought on that?
I had an experience, I guess I'll say, a little frustration that I felt when we first opened our business. Our cafe is really near to Route 95 in Richmond, and the state has a great program where we put up highway signs telling you what the restaurants are at the next exit, which is a easy, low-cost kind of a thing the state has done to benefit. The bad news was it's a late comer to the game, that by the time I got there, all the signage was gone, taken by the big guys, fast food places that have been in and established for a long time. So as a newcomer, there's no opportunity to get out there. I'd love to see reserved space that could possibly, or additional space to accommodate small businesses only, perhaps, even have a ratio of large to small on those signs and not to be dominated so much by the national chains, to give us a chance to squeeze our way in. We're really at a handicap, and we're already have a lot more challenges than they might in terms of capital and just getting started, and you just can't get a leg up when you're the last guy in.
Yeah, and I think that's a really just basic good principle, that if people thought that we were thinking of the small businesses in the state in a way that we gave some form of, not necessarily priority, but at least a level playing field.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a simple, low-cost
Create a level
thing.
playing field.
Simple, low-cost.
People would feel better about that, right? So, yeah, and Ken, give us some of your thoughts back there. I mean, you got a very nice spot there, right down in Wakefield, right, and with a nice theater in the back there, which we're gonna use. We're gonna convene that space. So what do you think?
Yeah, we talked about that. That'd be great. What I'd like to see is the 1% local tax that the restaurants collect and that we pay. that's supposed to go towards tourism and kind of marketing your town. I'd like to make it mandatory that the town, instead of having the choice of throwing it into the general fund, but they actually have to take that money and give it out maybe to like the smaller groups that, you know, the Chamber of Commerce or, you know, where we are, you know, I'm the president of the Wakefield Village Association, that we have some funds there that we can use to help beautify and market our town. I think that would go a long way, and I think that's why we collect it, and that's what it's supposed to be, and I think it should be mandatory. That's what it's supposed to be used for.
You'd like that, right, Rich?
I wouldn't mind a bit. Use it to buy flowers.
Yes,
There you go. Yeah.
and we have a beautiful state. And I don't say that just because I'm in the spot I'm in. I mean, you just go around our state. We've got a beautiful state. In fact, I kind of like that Discover Beautiful Rhode Island as being a brand for the state of Rhode Island. Let's just take that and find out all the places we can discover that are beautiful, and discover places that we can actually beautify, and let's get to work, right? That's a real good point, and I like that point a lot. Our resources should be going into creating these very livable spaces that are attractive and make people feel good, regardless if it's a Broad Street in Providence, a Broad Street in Westerly, a Broad Street in my hometown of Cumberland, right? I like that. I like that point a lot. I want to just we got like 3 minutes left. So I wanted to kind of get a little bit of like almost a rapid fire to a certain degree. We may have time to actually weigh in on it, but your customers that come into your places of business, they really are representative of the state of Rhode Island. I call them the kind of this map of Rhode Island. So when I'm going around right now, we're making sure we go to every single community and have an interaction there. But I'd like to kind of get your feeling on some of the things that the customers, your customers, your loyal customers, are kind of thinking about, especially in Rhode Island, and hearing maybe some of their thoughts that they might share with you. So there's always this discussion on whether we're headed in the right direction in the state or not the right direction. But just generally, and anybody can kind of weigh in on this. I think we have like another 2 minutes or so before we have to close up this first show of Advance Rhode Island. We're very excited about advancing our state in a real positive way. But does anybody have any thoughts about, like, are we headed in the right direction? And I'm talking about your customers, not you individually, but what are you hearing? Is the state headed in the right direction, or do we have a way to go? And if we have a way to go, have there been any discussion about what that means?
I think that things have improved a whole lot in the last 5 years, for sure. But I think that South County is a little micro-economy, and we're truly blessed to be in an area close to the university, which is a real good engine of growth. But also we benefit so much from out-of-staters. And so the economy of South County, I think, is really good. But I'm not sure it's good for everybody who is just a year-round native not benefiting from the tourism.
So the universities, people who got the universities, they seem to have a pretty good attitude that they're doing okay, and the state's doing okay by them.
Close by us, but a lot of that money is coming from the state in terms of state salaries and university employees, and it helps us tremendously. But I think we're unique in that perhaps things aren't as good where some of these other guys are based.
Yeah, if the income levels are not good, then it makes it very difficult to think it's a nice day, right? Think it's a really good day. Great.
Providence most recently has become a huge food destination. A lot of people come in and they say, wow, there's so much so close, in a close proximity here in Providence. And we come from Connecticut, we come from Massachusetts. We choose Providence and Rhode Island over Boston. I think that's a great asset.
Again, the meeting I was with yesterday with the bankers, they said exactly that. They said Rhode Island is this really good place to go, and it's getting very expensive in Boston. And there's areas of Connecticut that are struggling. As I said before we opened up, they're really thinking that somehow that we're getting an advantage over them. At least that's how they're campaigning in their campaigns, that Rhode Island is getting an advantage over Connecticut right now. So we got to keep that momentum going. But that's a really good point to make.
I hear it all the time.
So we're going to wrap this up. I got like 30 seconds here. I want to thank you for being here today. Advance Rhode Island. I encourage anybody out there that's watching this show that has an interest in advancing our state, join in with me, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, and we're going to work very hard to make sure that Rhode Island is advancing in the right direction. So thank you all for being here today.
Thanks
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.